Today I'm maintaining my battery, which is overdue. Now this battery here in my truck, I'm going to venture to say I've had the truck for 6 years now, something like that. I have to look back on when I bought it. And this battery was a couple of years old then, and it was originally in the van, but it wasn't quite heavy enough to turn over the 300 cubic inch 6-cylinder engine. But it turned over this just fine, so we put a larger battery in there, and this was stored in the shed and kept charged. It's been running good, but the last few mornings it goes whoop, and then it starts right up, so it's a little low. And I put a meter on it after I came back from coffee this morning, and I was reading 12.52 volts. A fully charged battery, especially when it's been charging while you're driving along, it should be at least 13 volts. And the average should be 12.6 or thereabouts. So this was a little low. So what I did is I cleaned the top off of this and got all the grime out of here so you don't get any leakage. And these are supposed to be maintenance free, but don't believe when they say it's maintenance free. You pop the caps. I found a couple of cells that were down to the plates. So I added battery water. Make sure you use distilled water when you're putting water into the battery. Or use rainwater, but make sure it's clean. Nothing like trying to be an octopus. I'm going to try to measure this now. Alright, I'm going to put the meter leads on here. And see if I can stick them in here, because the battery charger is not plugged in yet. So we can get the reading from there. Alright, as you can see, it's 12.58. So it was 12.52, and I have not started this truck. Now I want to put the charger on. This battery charger is pretty old. I'm going to venture to say 15 years old anyways. It didn't put out 12 volts. It hasn't lately. So I don't really know if it's going to properly charge a 12-volt battery. It's only a 12-volt, 2-amp, and 10-amp charger. But I probably should replace the rectifiers. They usually use a selenium rectifiers on the back, mounted to the back of the unit inside. And I could probably put a couple of maybe 30-amp stud rectifiers in there. She's charging. My connections with the meter just being stuck in here isn't good. But the connections on here, I wire brush these terminals, so. Wiggling the terminals seem to be alright. Well, I unplugged the battery charger. It's only been on for 15 minutes, and you can see the charge is 13.66 volts. Battery charger is offline. The clips are on, but the battery charger is unplugged. And Sammy won't shut up. He wants to go in the house. What's the matter, Sammy, huh? Huh? What are you going to do? Huh? What are you trying to do? Now look, you get into my work here. What's going on? I guess he's supervising to make sure that I do a good job here and know what I'm doing. Now he wants to go into the truck, and I got the window up because it's cold. Anyways, that's holding, so we're not going to charge this anymore. And this is proof, because I ran this charger before I put the video on, of course. And it was only 12.8 after charging, so it's definitely improved a lot. Now we'll find out tomorrow morning when I start it and it's real cold, and we'll see how it goes this winter. But this battery is really on borrowed time, and eventually will have to be changed. I had this thing for, I'm going to say 20 years, and I charged it, but it didn't take long to say it's fully charged. It takes a extension cord to go in here, but this thing won't even light the light bulb. I'm getting 12 volts out of this thing, but it won't even light the light bulb. So it's probably got one of them little gel cell batteries, similar to what I put into the Uncle Dorkel motorized project. So I'm going to probably say the battery is not delivering any current, but there is a possibility, because I could literally short these things out, hold this button down, and it still reads in the green. So there's a reset button here, but it doesn't pop out. It could be that it's something in there that could be wrong, but I'm going to take this apart and see if I can find anything wrong inside of it. Last year, I got a gift card, and I bought this at Home Depot. So this is a lot better, but it's basically a gel cell. And I've never had to use it yet, but I keep it charged once a month. And I just charged it a couple weeks ago. And she's still reading okay. But as soon as you put the compressor on this thing drops right down. Where the compressor is here. There it is. See that? So I'll have to touch that up, charge that up again. Now the reason I wanted to use this is because I wanted to put this across the battery cables to keep energy on the radio, so I wouldn't have to do the presets over again. But this isn't putting out anything to mount to anything, so it's like useless. So there's something wrong in here, and we're going to find out what it is. We got a lot of unscrewing to do. Come back on video in a minute. Okay, one-handed operation here. Well, this is going to be a two-handed operation, but you can see there it is. There's a gel cell in there. So what I want to do is to check directly on that gel cell and see what we're getting. I'll come back on the video here when I can use two hands. You can plainly see what we got here. A 12 amp hour. Wow. That's a biggie. I'm going to remove the clips off of this reset button here so I can check this battery properly here. Okay, this is what we got. Some nice heavy wires here for the reset. I'm going to check this reset, but I was getting 12 plus volts out of these clips, but it wasn't lighting up the 12 volt bulb, nor was it doing anything on the battery when I tried to clip this over so I can unhook my battery cable so I wouldn't lose my programming in the radio and so forth. So what I'm going to do here, this is the charging circuit. This is the cigarette lighter plug here, socket. So what we're going to do is put a meter on this now. Alright. The battery. This is a big battery. It's a wide battery. It's about 1/3 wider than, the length is about the same. It's 1/3 wider than the one I got for Uncle Dorkel, and the ones that come in the smaller UPS supplies for computers. It's a 12 amp hour. The one I got in Uncle Dorkel is I think an 8 amp hour or a 7, something like that. But what we're going to do is I'm going to put a meter on this and see what this battery does here. Now this is all sealed. I wouldn't attempt to rejuvenate that because 9 out of 10 they do not work. So there's almost zero chance of recovering these things. If you look back on one of my videos, I've done it, and it failed. So you just have to buy a new battery, which case I wouldn't do on this. I would just use that great big one I showed you. Well, I got my leads across. The battery itself is completely separated from this. And you know, I think this circuit breaker is for the socket over here. It has nothing to do with these leads here. And we're getting 12.79 volts, which is good, but the question is, will it deliver current? We're going to try that right now with a bulb. I'll be right back. And she's dropping down. That bulb is getting hot, and she's dropped down pretty quick here. Now, this charging circuit here, for some reason, doesn't really charge it up good. And what I used to do was to plug the charger directly into here, try to charge it. That didn't seem to work too good. So I used to take the charge and go right directly across the battery cables here and do it. And put my regular battery charger, the one over there, right on, directly on these cables, and you're going right into the battery direct by doing that, because these cables here, as you can see, these heavy wires here, are the cables that go outside the box here. So you're going directly on the battery by doing that, because this built-in charger here doesn't seem to charge it. Well, I think the battery is on its way out, and what I'm going to do, because this don't charge anymore properly through this charging this way, and I can't seem to get it even to charge this way. These cables are connected directly to the battery. I can light this bulb on the battery with the clip leads, but I cannot light the battery on these clips. And the only thing I can think of is the contacts, the crimped inside there must be bad on one of these. But you know, I got that great big thing. I don't really need this, and this has outlived its usefulness. I think what I'm going to do is to save the battery, stick it on my 1 amp trickle charger and let it charge up. And it'll be a good backup battery maybe for Uncle Dorkle, but it's wide and it won't fit in there. But it's a good backup battery for something anyhow. I think that's what we'll do, because this charger here doesn't seem to maintain it, and I'm not sure. There's circuitry up here, and I can't see all that stuff. It's too small. So we're gonna just salvage this thing, because I've got the big one, which even this battery might even fit in that, but like I say, it's old. It's old. It's a nice battery though. Leastwise it was in its time. I see some corrosion in here. That could be the battery leaking. The connection seems to be solid, but that could be the problem why I'm not getting any current coming through this. I'm getting the voltage, but I'm not getting any current to even light that little bulb over there. So I'm going to still scrap this, because I got the big one and I don't use this one, so I might as well bring this battery into the shed and see if I can charge it and save some parts out of here, like these connectors, so forth. I could use this for, well, I already got one of these on Uncle Dorkle, and I need a 6-volt input for the other battery to charge them, but right now we're just going to take this apart. We'll come back in a minute. You can't get too close with this camera, it'll be out of focus. But there is corrosion on that terminal I just took off of here. The connection's tight. It's crimped. I don't like crimped, I like soldered better. But we're going to clean this up. I imagine the battery's probably leaking a little. So as a jump start, it won't work. I could probably clean all this up, put it together, it might, but this battery, I think, is on its way out. I'm going to charge it. This is on the 1 amp trickle charger, the motorcycle battery charger I got in the shed, which I showed you before. And I'm going to charge that overnight and see what that does after I clean this up. Alright, I'm going to leave it go overnight. on the 1 amp trickle charger here. Meanwhile, I'll get some parts out of here that I could probably use. Maybe these cables here. Yeah, we're going to charge this one up. I imagine the gel cell in this thing is quite a bit larger than the one that was in the little one. I would venture to say. But, you know, these things are handy to have, but I wouldn't count on them to actually start a vehicle. You can't beat a regular battery. Well, we're going to charge that now, so we're going to plug that in. And keep that charged. Alright, so that's about it. I just wanted to give you a little video here. Actually, my videos are never short. They're always long-winded, and this one's going to go on Old 64 Goats channel because I'm limited to 15-minute videos on the Spindle Leg channel, so that's alright. So thank you for watching, everybody.